Welcome to another episode of War Hero to Superhero, helping military, veterans, and first responders transform their lives from the bedroom to the boardroom. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Faust. We have made it into December, and we're actually halfway through. It's December 15th, and I want to go over and celebrate something small before we join. 3 years ago from today, we actually published our first book, Leave No Marriage Behind. So if you are struggling in your marriage, we'd love for you to go pick yourself up a copy. Our digital copies are still 99 cents to keep the cost low and to go over and serve you. So we want to go over and celebrate our little hoorah. Yay! It's been 3 years and we're hoping to publish some more in 2021. We need to get back on the bandwagon. My goal was 8 in 8 years, so I'll just have to do 3 this year coming up to catch up, and then I'll be back up to par. But we made it to December. It's December 15th, and we are in the Holiday Struggles series. So if you haven't been watching, go back and watch the other episodes, either on Podopolo, on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook, wherever you get your podcasts. So the Christmas season is upon us. It's getting close. People are shopping, but things are shutting down at the same time. You know, it's crazy. We think of lights and parties and shopping and the food and family and friends, but the holiday struggle is here. We have COVID and things shutting down, but yet we're getting vaccines at the same time. DOD, military, and everything else is planning on operations on how to get shots, and all the civilians and first responders, and yet we're transitioning and we're speeding up, but yet we're slowing down. So the holiday struggle is real, right? We're getting pulled in both directions. We're probably overbooked, overspent, and overwhelmed. And now we're getting to the point that next week, the nation as itself is going to shut down. Retail will still be up and airfare will be up, but the majority of the nation will shut down. And especially if you're a military veteran, first responder watching this, either live or on the replay, I know that it's very hard to go unplug. So I went over and did some research, and actually it was inspired by Cloud App, which is a way to do your meetings instead of having a meeting, just record it. Boom, set and done. I don't know much about it. They're not my sponsors. But, you know, if you go over and you're just tired of meetings and you rather just record yourself and send it forward, try out Cloud App. And what they had an article was 7 tactics to unplug and recharge during the holidays. So this was inspired by Cloud App. So if you want more details, go to that article on Cloud App about tactics to unplug and recharge during the holidays. So these, I think, are realistic no matter if you're a military veteran, first responder, retired, whatever it is. If you're working in some modality, and you're getting ready to either take Christmas break, Thanksgiving, or vacation in general, no matter if it's a few days, which one of my coworkers is in Jamaica right now, and he actually made me think of it because he started texting when he's in Jamaica, and I said, breathe in, vacation, breathe out, work, breathe in, sunshine, breathe out, text messages. You know, we just need to unplug and recharge. And these 7 tactics, I think, are pretty on point. First off, we need to be realistic and look at the job or type of thing that we go over and do. We might be entrepreneurial. We might be still in the military. We might be veterans. We might be working in the GS system. You might be going over and being a first responder and you're on call. Whatever that is, we need to be realistic on this. Now, some people go over and be realistic on one side, and they go over, unrealistic on one side, and they're like, oh, I don't need to prepare for anything. No one's ever going to call me. I'm going to be off the entire time. And vice versa, that the person can't unplug, and they're on their computer every single chance they get, and they're always checking the phone, they're checking the text messages and everything else. We need to be realistic as our jobs, no matter what, military, veteran, first responder, where you're working, are you mission essential, are you not? You know, is your job going to go over and blow up the planet if you go over and took vacation off and you didn't have your phone and you're the boss? Or are you the person that goes over and, like me right now as a group training manager, things are important, but they're really not urgent because nobody's there. So for me, I can totally go over and unplug. So we need to be realistic and say, I don't need to go into work. Even if I have that urge, I don't need to go check a text message. Everything will be fine. Being realistic is also notifying my people and saying, like, hey, if something comes up, please take it over. They said they'll take over the urgent ones, but the ones that are later on, they're still going to send the box. So he was realistic too. So it was kind of cool and a balance on himself in that regard. So we need to be realistic on, like, and also our families, you know, as we're going over in the boardroom, because we're coming out of the boardroom to relax and recharge. And if our family and ourselves don't understand, either we're too involved when we're on vacation, still mentally in the boardroom, or too little involved, and now you're getting phone calls and everything's getting interrupted, and you didn't take that half hour to check emails and try to get fires out, you might screw yourself over. So you got to balance out that particular regard. So that's number one. Number two is plan ahead. Everybody has work centers, and I know the majority of people want to take off the holidays. We have to be realistic in that regard and also plan ahead. Like for myself, I wasn't originally taking off Christmas, but once we got to September and October and we were still in COVID and I couldn't really travel and everything else, and then I thought to myself, I'm going to be stuck at home. Do I really want to take vacation? Well, I said, yeah, I want to unplug, so you got to plan ahead, notify those people that are staying behind on what's going on and go over and set them up for success in this particular regard. So, and then also for manning, like if you're higher in leadership and you have a work center, usually the rule of thumb in the military is the higher the person there is, the less likely they're going to take leave, and they allow the younger troops to go over and do that, either in the military or the lower GS employees are easier to take vacation. We need to plan ahead in general, because no matter if you're a E1 or O10, GS1 to GS15, SES, you work at Congress, you're a first responder, you're a fire chief, you're a police chief, you're a captain, you're a detective, whatever it is, whatever the role is, high or low, everybody needs that recharge time. Now, maybe you don't go over and celebrate the holidays. I have one guy, he's like, I don't celebrate any holiday at all. And I was like, what? I was like, that's really interesting. Him and his wife, I guess even with his daughter, and his daughter's like 17, they don't celebrate any particular holiday, not an anniversary, not a holiday, not nothing. So for those people, you might find out they are quote unquote taking vacation with everyone, but they really don't celebrate the holiday. Maybe you can do a swap and say, hey, could I have Christmas off while you go over and have February off, or I'll cover these days and whatnot. So plan ahead. And if you're a one deep slot like myself, you might need to plan ahead to say what you need to go get done, so then those quote unquote suspenses don't come up, because there might be some suspenses that a lot of things are going away. A lot of times, a lot of things go away at the end of the year, fiscal or calendar year. So you got to be prepared that those things might not be available, and you might be transitioning into a new database, a new server, those types of things. So maybe plan ahead to go over and to get that stuff done. It also goes with number three, to kind of go hand in hand, work ahead. So if you want to mentally pull chocks and not actually be there and actually be fully engaged, maybe you're grinding out a little bit more time. Maybe you're telling your family like, hey, I'm going to grind out these extra hours on this end to then go over and do that. Now, if you're in the military, you can grind out as many hours as you want. The pay doesn't go over and change. You can't really do anything in that regard, but at least goes over and gives you that piece that says, hey, I got these things done. As long as my supervision knows, and then I'm taking off, I'm less likely going to get called in, or they're going to, especially if it's not many people there, sometimes the people that are there get bored or trying to find something, and then they call you. Ooh, isn't that bad? You're on vacation, you get the call, it's like for one thing, or get the text message for one thing. So you maybe want to work ahead and go think about those things in advance. Maybe and if you're on the GS side, depending on your GS position and whatnot, there's a thing called MaxiFlex that you can go over and do more hours on there, or get credit time that, or maybe in the first responder role, maybe you can go over and make up that time, or work another shift to go over and do that. Or maybe instead of like you doing 2 days on and 2 days off, maybe you just do 4 days straight. If you're, chief or police captain, stuff like that, goes over and allows you to do that. So try to see if you can get that work ahead so those things don't hit you up. Obviously, the longer the vacation is, the more likely it's going to be, but especially in this season, if you're trying to take it off to actually recharge and get out of the holiday struggle and actually celebrate the holiday and not the struggle, this would be perfect time, because a lot of things kind of die down. Again, depending on your industry, where you're at, from your war hero to superhero transformation, it balance that out. But if you can work ahead to get ahead, especially when everything slows down, take advantage of that. So then when you're taking that vacation, boom, you're set and done. Also, number 4, plan your time off. And what do I mean by that? You're saying it's vacation. Plan your time off? Well, most people don't do vacation by themselves. Unless you're that single airman, sergeant, officer, veteran, and you're all by yourself, Usually you're vacationing with your spouse, with your kids, going visit family and whatnot. Plan your time off. And what do I mean by that? It's like working with those people, like talking to your spouse and talking to your kids. What do you want the vacation to look like? Are you a schedule person and want to do something every single moment, meeting with people the entire time, outgoing people oriented like I am? Or you want to be more relaxed and you're like, I don't need a schedule. I want to wake up when I want to wake up. I want to do what I want to go over and do and everything else. But a balance in that regard. A lot of couples and a lot of families get into arguments because they have different ways of going over and doing things. Like when we go do binge weekend on Saturday, which is not vacation, but kind of like a day off, is that we allow them to go choose what they want. But if they want other people involved, like our kids want us involved or someone else, they need to talk to us. They need to plan that time off. If they're wanting to say, hey, I want you to sit and play Minecraft with me 2 hours, or if my spouse is doing that, or my coworkers want to hang out with me off duty when I'm on vacation or whatnot, plan that time out. It's going to mitigate a lot of arguments, and you actually feel more refreshed if you actually plan out your vacation with them. My wife's a massive planner. I'm not a massive planner. I like to do a lot more people-oriented things and on the fly, and she's like, schedule, schedule, schedule. So balancing that out in between to go over and balance out the energy so you actually are recharged when you go unplug. Number 5, I'd say the one that most of us veterans, first responders, and military don't tend to do is shut off the notifications. And I mean all notifications. I mean, if you're on vacation next week, I don't even expect you to watch the interviews that we have. And we're going to have some amazing guests on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but you can always come back to that. So if you are unplugging and you are recharging, shut off those notifications where you can. Sometimes you forget about those. WhatsApp, if we're using that, if you're going over in text messages, you go over and have Facebook and all those types of social media, shut off those notifications. Or maybe there's a way that only certain people get notified. Like you can go into do not disturb on most phones. I know you use it for the Apple. I'm not sure about the Droid, but then you can have certain people to disturb it if they absolutely have to. It's a second ring within like a 5-minute interval typically, but shut off those notifications if you can. Totally unplug. I mean, most of us, that are in the military or everything else world, if we're at home station and we're taking vacation, there should be very little time to go and do that. Keep the notifications you need to keep on, but shut off the rest so you can go and do that. If you have your computer at home, just don't even open it. Or if you're going to go and set time because realistically you need an hour, don't turn it on to that point. Don't leave it on in the background, because if you hear that ba-ding, 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 instant messenger, phone, everything else, you're not going to be able to go over and relax. So take that time to go over and do that. And then notify your people, like we talked about earlier, because then you won't get as much notifications if your people are actually on board and figure that out if you did that. Number 6, buffer time to get replugged back in. This, I think, is key. You can go over and I don't say to use vacation, but the thing is that, maybe you do, depending on who you are. For me, like when I come back from deployments and try to go recharge or anything else, I take time off to prep, and then I take time off to plug back in. So let's say, for example, my vacation, my anniversary is the 18th. You're going to hear nothing from me the 18th and 19th. So you think I'm dead on social media? No, it's my anniversary. I'm totally unplugging. I'll put up the photos afterwards and all those types of things. 14 years, awesome, right? 66 to go and then dead. So during that time, that Thursday, pretty much afternoon, I'm mentally checking out. I'm getting to a certain point to get my stuff done, and then I'm giving myself buffer time to unplug. And then when I get back on the 28th, I'm really not going to remind people that I'm in the office. I'm going to get stuff done, but if it's something I don't need to go, ba-ding, maybe I get the process done in that first day, and then maybe I email the next day, so I can just get a chance to replug back in and figure out what's going on. And maybe you just go over and do that maybe you say that you'll be out of office until the 29th. Like, you'll still might come in on the 29th and your local office knows, but especially if you have an external office that tons of people contact you, maybe, just put it out to that point. It's not an integrity issue. You're still out of office. You're not available. You're just trying to catch up on stuff, because once people know, if you put that do not disturb or busy or out of office response on there, it gives you that time. I don't even know psychologically that I know people are there, and once I see that notification, I tend to not notify them. So maybe you do that to go replug back in, get caught up with all those emails and everything else. So buffer time on both ends to unplug and replug back in. And number 7, our last one, is actually unplug. That means taking these 6 things and actually implementing them, being realistic and planning ahead and working ahead and planning your time off and shutting off those notifications and putting that buffer time in. If you don't go put that in there and you don't actually do it, most people come still overwhelmed, still everything else. Most people fear it's just like, if I totally unplug, I'm not going to go, and I'm going to potentially lose my job. I'm going to do that. Too many Americans, especially in this season, even pre-COVID, did not take vacation. The majority of people didn't take vacation. I met people that have had, in the GS world, 240 hours. That's like, what, 6 weeks of vacation on the books, use or lose. That's crazy. You know, there's millions and millions and millions of dollars. Actually, I think it's billions of dollars left on the table because we don't unplug. And especially if you're military and you're active duty or activated, or you're a GS employee that you have more than 2 years, nothing's actually going to go potentially die that you're going to go over and your job's going to be gone. It's our transformation from war hero to superhero that we're scared of when we get into the civilian world, if we're working with first responders or working in another world. But even that, most times, most things are not that diabolical that your job goes away. If it does, and that's a hostile environment, let's have a conversation for 20 minutes to help you go plug into your real superhero powers. We don't want you to go over and have a chance to unplug and then you're always in fear of losing job. I remember traveling across the nation, and that was a lot of people's fear, not to deal with problems and situations or go on vacation or take days off or take sick time because of that. We need to unplug as Americans, as anybody in the world. We need to go over and do that. You know, my personal belief, the world was created in 6 days, and the 7th day, God rested. So if he can rest, why can't we? The funny part is we take 2 days off. We have Saturday and Sunday, and we take holidays and everything else. But if we're not mentally, emotionally, spiritually, socially, practically unplugging, there's no real point in taking the time off. We need to actually unplug and go recharge. Go find something super fun that you go over and do that goes over and recharge. Meet me in VR if you like to go over and do that. That's what I'll be doing at least a couple of days. So that is pretty much it. Our superhero challenge of the day is share your unplug tactics that we all can recharge well. Because I got these ideas from Cloud app, modified them a little bit, but there's more than 7, isn't there? There's probably tons of hacks and ideas and different things and tactics that you have. So we'd love for you to bring it to the table, either on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch. We get notified on a regular basis, but once we unplug, we'll check them back later. So unplug with us and then just come back into the game to New Year, recharge, refresh, and everything else. And with that, we hope that our sponsors can go over and help us unplug, and at the same time let you go plug in for a minute to go share our sponsor video, which we're very proud of, and hopefully start with them full time in January. Go from there. Thanks.
Millions of men and women have served this great country. However, over 40,000 veterans sleep on the streets every night. 20 veterans commit suicide on any given day. Veterans have been left without medical services while they suffer from mental illness and addiction. They are dying alone. Join Armory Dog and the Veterans Project to help serve this forgotten community of heroes. Veterans is a place for our men and women who have served our great country, giving them a place to stay and rehabilitate in a safe and positive environment. Please help support the Veterans Project so that these men and women can get back on their feet and find their purpose for living. The Veterans Project will house 10,000 veterans, getting them off the streets, back into society, and utilizing their skills as they once used to serve our great country. Veterans Not Forgotten.